Kind of was the year of Ozempic, actually. Like, she was the main character of
She
2023.
Ozempic was.
Yes.
I'm like, we're like, wait, is that a person? Wait, what? You mean the
Might
medicine?
as well be. Might as
A
well
drug.
be.
I literally
Pivotal
was so
character in a lot of
confused.
people's lives this year.
Do you like the
Yeah.
cups this time?
Yes, I love the cups.
This is my little Happy New Year gift to you ladies. So
Aw.
take and enjoy.
Thank you.
I definitely will. That's
It's
super
giving
cute.
festive.
Drink
It's
all
giving
your-
2024 good
Yeah.
energy.
This is our 2024 right here.
Do you think 2024 is going to be disco year? Like, because I feel like different parts of the 70s came back, but not like the glammy things.
I hope every year is disco year, truly.
like it?
In these pants, yeah. I love the 70s.
All right, ladies, we are so excited to be back. We hope you guys had a fantastic Christmas. If you didn't listen to our Christmas episode, you should definitely go back because you missed out. We're hoping to bring it back with even more fun on this episode. This is our year in review. I'm joined again by my lovely co-hosts, Britt and Ariana.
Hi.
How are you
Hello.
guys?
Good. Happy to be here.
I'm excited. I actually
too.
am. I think this has been a good year. There's been so much that we can recap, and then we can maybe even make predictions for 2024.
Love.
Ooh, I like the predictions part.
I
We should
do like
definitely
that.
add that in.
Yes.
So let's start with our pop culture.
My
Man,
favorite.
guys, there are like 5 major subjects in here.
It's been a whole year. So yeah.
It has been a year. It's been a
Like
busy
trying
year.
to go back and pull from like, okay, so what happened in like February? What happened in March,
Yeah.
April, May?
Mhm.
So we'll get into pop culture. We'll do some personal updates and we'll do some policy updates if that's
Amazing.
cool with y'all.
Yay.
Rock and roll. Okay. You know, I thought Ari had such a great point when you said this has been the year of the girl.
It has been the year of the girl. I think that that's like what like encompasses what 2023 was about. Like we just had thing after thing. You had the Eras tour, which I'm not even a Taylor Swift fan, but you can't
Mhm.
deny that like she was deserving of like the Person of the Year award. Like by far, she
Yep.
changed all of American culture for however all the women were interacting for with the
Yeah.
whole year. What else did you have this year? You had
Renaissance tour.
Renaissance tour just
Beyonce's
happened. So that like completed that, but you had like
Barbie
Girl Math,
movie.
Barbie movie, Girl what
Girl
were the other
dinner.
things? Girl
Girl
dinner,
dinner.
Girl Money, like Girl, even like Girl Boss. I think moved away from like the like Boss Babe thing. I think that they're different, and I think that that's like a new 2023. Yeah, that's just been it's the year of the girl, and I think 2024 is gonna be the year of the woman. So
Oh, hot
Oh.
take, and I love that.
we can
and I
come back
couldn't
to it
agree
at
more.
the end to like with predictions.
Yeah,
but, yep.
100%.
Okay, I am curious to see what that is. So speaking of the girl, the major, I think, music things that happened this year were definitely Taylor Swift and Beyonce.
Yeah, big time. She stimulated the U.S. economy for
Taylor Swift or
Yeah.
Beyonce?
No, well, Beyonce probably because they switched. Beyonce was in Europe while Taylor toured in the
Right.
United States. But what I heard, and again, I'm no expert on the economy by any means, but essentially, her tour made the US economy so much money. And if you think about it, it makes sense, right? Because like people are paying for tickets, people are paying for hotel rooms, people are paying for airfare, dinner, drinks,
But they go above and
outfits.
beyond, and I think it's the outfit part that changes a lot of it. Like it
Oh
becomes
my
an
gosh.
event.
Yes, and it was an event. Like I didn't go to the Eras tour, but
Did
I
any
saw
of
a
us
lot
wait,
of
let's
girls.
just say, did any of us go?
No, we're the
Yeah.
wrong group
Who's
for
got
that.
the money?
Yeah, we're not the right group for that. I can't say.
But
I
we
will
can
say
appreciate it.
I think she has amazing stage presence. I just find it very hard to identify with her music, and that's why I did not spend the money to go there. Like it's a lot of like breakup songs.
Yeah.
Guys got so like he broke my heart, and I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling.
Yeah, I certainly don't mean to slander Taylor. She's just not my personal cup of tea, but there are a few songs that like I can absolutely rock out to, and I can appreciate the talent that she is for sure.
Right.
Major talent.
Yeah.
I think no one can deny the talent, and I just love how much she just puts on a true performance. She's not just up there with like a microphone and a guitar. I just
Right,
love that
it's
it's
a
very
show.
theatrical,
Mhm.
very like.
And they even incorporated like the lighting into it, like where
Yeah.
the bracelets that people were wearing were part of the actual show.
Really?
Because
I didn't
and
know
you can
that.
see that in the audience. So
That's cool.
yeah, when she
Yeah.
is a performer, her whole thing is a I see why people spent that much money, basically.
And there's like a subculture, I feel like, in Taylor. So like they had like the light up bracelets, you know, but now like a lot of the girls had like these beaded bracelets and they would swap at shows and things like
That's
that.
cute.
And so it's like
Year of the girl, I'm telling you.
Right. Well, and I just love to see like girls be girls. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Of like community and being around girls and not feeling threatened by other girls.
Yeah.
Like that's what I've really loved to see this year. And I
Because,
feel like that really
yeah.
happened at the Eras tour.
And if you reflect like 10 years ago, it was the I'm not like other girls thing. The pick me thing was, I think, much bigger for women. And I think we're finally escaping that.
we are getting
culturally.
out of the era of the pick me girl, and I'm thrilled about it.
What's the pick me girl?
So if you've watched Grey's Anatomy, there's a monologue that I love pop culture. There's a monologue where Meredith Grey is talking to Patrick Dempsey and she's like, pick me, choose me, love me. So the pick me girl is a girl who will do pretty much anything to be picked by a man.
But her thing is she's not like the other girls. That's
like,
the big
I'm
thing.
different. I'm so different.
It's like, I'm not like the other girls. I don't eat salad. I eat pizza. Oh, I don't paint my nails. I'm not like the other girls.
I don't need a wine night. I
Right.
want to drink beer with the boys. And it's
Yeah,
like,
like
okay,
you just have
we
to
all
be
do,
so
but like,
different.
yeah,
Yes.
but like, come on, like, there's
And I
nothing
think
better
we're
than a
at the
girl's
time
girl.
where it's like, no, it's okay. You can like do your thing and you can also be a girl. Like, it's
You can
okay.
also, like,
I
being
can
a
be like
girl
the other
and-
girls and that's not bad.
Yeah.
Speaking of like girls and like what they're transforming into, this whole like homestead era where like girls are wanting to like have the chickens, have a
Mhm.
family. It's like the exact opposite of like girl boss, right? Where it's like,
Yes.
I need to be like CEO of a corporate job and I don't need a man, da da da. And then I think you see a lot of times like a lot of those women are single and alone and they look around, they're like,
What
okay,
happened?
well, like, what do I have to show for it?
I think it's well, so there's a lot of girls who that like works for them, right? And they're really, really good at what they do. But we as women are also, we have a makeup, like a genetic makeup and desires that are instilled within us, right? And so I feel like for a lot of women who try to siphon themselves into this boss babe mentality because that's what's acceptable, it really stifles our nature. And so now I feel like this year, women who have done the girl boss thing and like maybe been really successful, but perhaps didn't find the fulfillment in it that they thought they would, are going back to the drawing board of like, maybe it wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world to have a family or have kids or put more stock into my relationship or have chickens and make dinner. And so I love to see that we went so hard in the feminism direction that now it's like we can just pick what we want to do and what works for each woman. And like, that's okay.
I
And
like
feel like it
that's a
hasn't been
very
that for a while.
gentle spin that you put on it because I feel like there was so much pressure of like, oh, if you want to raise a family and have babies, like, then you're just like every other one. Like a real lady can run a company. A real lady doesn't have to have a man. It was like I was constantly being told that like the idea of my future was not what a real woman does, which was
Right.
always so frustrating. And like even like in the wave of feminism, right, where it's
Mhm.
like back in the 70s, 80s. I'm talking about those women today. Look
Yeah.
around and just like don't have, and I mean, I've had some
Yeah.
of them in my life that have told me like, do not do what I did, please. Like it is not worth it.
Right.
Have kids, have a family. It's so much more rewarding. And like if you can't have kids, if you don't want to get like some people are not called to be married and have kids, and that's amazing. But
Yeah.
I still think they pour into their communities
Yeah.
and they are still maternal in their own way.
Yeah.
And they still bring life and joy into the world of others.
But then also don't like, put down another woman who maybe doesn't want those things and does want a family
Exactly.
and things like that and
Yeah.
Right.
encourage each other in that way. But yeah, Year of the Girl. I
Mhm.
love that.
Homestead. Let's all
Homestead ladies.
yeah, let's all get our little chickens, get our little mini donkeys.
Oh, my husband
and-
would die if I was like, yeah, I want a homestead right now. He'd be like, let's go.
really.
Oh,
Mine
yeah.
would be like
He'd be ready to pack it up.
He's ready. He's trying so hard in our little suburban backyard. It's great. Like, and
That's
I
cute.
love
Do y'all
him
have a
for
garden?
it. We do. Well, he has a garden and he works very hard on
I
it.
love that.
And he's crushing it. And I do a little bit to kind of water it sometimes. But the homestead gene's not in there, but maybe it'll grow as I get older.
I want it. I just don't know. I'm not ready to commit to that lifestyle yet, but my heart wants it. I'm like, I want
Yeah.
the little.
Well, you just got married too, so I could see you being like, okay, we've established this like new marriage, farm time.
yeah.
Farm time.
I showed him. I showed my husband. I really want a little Highland cow,
They're so
like a
cute.
mini one. which are obviously not tiny by any means, but they're smaller than like the multi-ton cows.
Right.
And I showed him, I was like, this is what I want for Christmas. And it was a video. And it was like, save a cow, adopt a Highland cow. And he's like, no, Taylor, no, stop.
And put
and
it
then
where?
immediately
That's
clip
fair.
to a little stuffed animal. It's like, so buy them a stuffed animal so you can like donate to the cause. And
Cute.
he was like, oh, that's hilarious. Yes, I will get that for you. So
Done
we'll
deal.
see. Maybe one year I will have little Highland cattle.
I hope for that for you.
We'll
That'd
see.
be great.
Yeah, so you're the girl. These are boss ladies like Taylor Swift, Beyonce. Both have guys in their life, but they're also like running away in their profession, like dominating.
Mhm.
And I still think it's okay for. Does Beyonce have kids? I should
Yeah,
know that.
she
Yes.
has actually
3.
her daughter is even I think it's her 11-year-old got to like dance as part of her
Yeah, Blue Ivy is like a
Yes.
straight up backup
Oh,
dancer. And
duh.
she's got the twins who
right.
I'm embarrassing myself how much I know about people in pop culture, but it is what it is. Yeah, she's got 3 kids.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and see, like that's the perfect example where she's just like, she is Beyonce. Like her name is a thing. Like it has so much epicness piled into that one name. That just means boss lady, but she's also married. She has kids.
Mhm.
It's a home.
Yep.
Like very well rounded, which I think there's a lot of pressure on women to fulfill every single area perfectly.
Mhm.
And instead, you just kind of have to make it what it is.
Or I think things can come in seasons and people need to be like a little bit okay with that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like if there's like a certain season of your life where you're called to like, well, right now I'm a student in college and so this is like where I'm focusing on this.
Mhm.
And then at the same time, like you can start looking into like if you're like dating during that time, which I think you really
Mhm.
should be because that's like a really good time to potentially meet someone.
Totally.
But you can then like based on like where that relationship does or doesn't take you, you can be like, okay, well actually in this point in my life, I'm currently like if you're not in a relationship, you can use that time to prioritize like different work stuff. And then if someone comes into your life, pivot that. And so I feel like people are really can be scared to move around.
pivot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pivot. Pivot. Okay, that brings us to a.
That's such a sad transition. Don't say it, do it that way,
gosh.
Taylor.
It took me off guard. That's really sad.
Okay.
It's not funny.
It's not funny. Let's well, there's no easy way to talk about death. So let's just talk about the people that we want to celebrate the new life that they
In
have.
memoriam.
Thank you. Someone else
Yeah.
do this transition because this is way too uncomfortable for me to talk about.
It's a hard pivot. Sorry.
Well, that's always I feel like how you define a year in pop culture is like who did we lose and like what does that passing signify?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So here's some ones that I felt like were notable. Obviously, Matthew Perry.
Which
That
is,
one got
I
me.
think that was a recent hard hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a really tough one. And like were you guys like big Friends watchers growing up or anything like that?
So I'm like a lot of my generation watched it, but we're not like going to be, most Gen Zers aren't like re-watching Friends a lot. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm like speaking out of turn for Gen Z, but I feel like every single person in Gen Z has at least watched through Friends once.
Yeah. I've watched through Friends. I don't think I can count how many times I've watched through every
Right.
single season. It's like a comfort show. I've always loved it. I mean, Matthew Perry, like Chandler was always my personal favorite. His sense of humor was just always hilarious to me. So when I was getting ready for bed one night and I saw that he'd passed away, I was very sad about that because it signified like an era, like the end of an era,
Yeah.
I think.
Well, and even like the 90s, wasn't he like the first like 90s major star actor to pass away? Or
He's at least the most notable one that I
Yeah.
can think of.
Yeah.
That's
I was
passed from that
sad.
generation.
I didn't watch Friends. Like, I haven't watched it all the way through, but I'm definitely familiar. I've watched a bunch of episodes, even if
Right.
it is like out of sequence.
Mhm.
But he was just always my favorite. And even him as an actor in general, like him in 17 Again was so good.
Yeah, I loved
I
that
forgot
movie.
about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a great one.
Such a good one. And then he was in this one where he was a teacher who left a small, I don't remember the name of it, but he left a small town and moved to New York City
Mhm.
and like a rough neighborhood and got this group of kids that like were failing out and like taught them and he used all these like great resources to train them out and they all like passed their tests. They went on to do great things and
I've
and
never
he was in a
seen
movie
that
like
one.
that. It's not super well known, but I took education courses, so we watched that in one of the classes and he was such a good actor. Such a good actor.
Oh.
So that was a very
He'll
emotional
be
one.
missed for sure.
So some other ones. Did you guys know Tina Turner passed away in
I
May?
did. Yeah,
I don't
that
know
was
if I knew
sad.
that.
Yeah. And then Jimmy Buffett.
I'm so upset about Jimmy Buffett. My dad's generation is so upset about Jimmy Buffett. That was like growing up. We used to have a lot of pool parties growing up in my house, and my dad, like, I called it his pool party playlist, like, and it was iconic, but it was filled with Jimmy Buffett. So I
Oh,
was really sad about that one.
yeah. And then Charles Munger.
I don't know if I know who that is.
Anybody?
Is that bad?
I'm so sorry.
Anybody?
No, who's
Anyone
that?
in the audience?
Who's that?
That was Warren Buffett's like right-hand man. So he was like this major powerhouse in the financial world.
Oh,
And just has so many
shows.
like solid one-liners about how society functions like in an economical way. Like I should have pulled quotes for each of these people of just something iconic that they said, because he had so many good one-liners of like, I think one of the ones he said, and I'm totally going to butcher it, but he was like, the most fruitless endeavor you will ever pursue is trying to change your spouse.
Oh.
True.
Like,
That's
just like
true.
little one liners like that, where it's
Mhm.
just like he just understood the world so well and saw through numbers that like he could get really deep with these sorts of realizations.
Not familiar, but
Look
rest
him
in
up.
peace.
Look
Yeah.
him up. Okay, let's talk about something a little bit, well, not really lighter.
It's just a tough year, is what I'm hearing.
Okay, let's talk about something fun.
This is a roller coaster of an episode.
I know.
Barbie movie. That was a major hit.
This
You're the
feels
girl.
very full circle, because the first time we all sat down together,
Oh,
we really
was. It was
debriefed the
Barbie
Barbie
movie.
movie. So here we are again.
Yeah, it
Yep.
like really solidified that we wanted to go all pink, you know, with the show,
Yeah.
like
Yep.
get it really pink.
Yep.
I think it made the world not be so afraid of pink again. Like so many
Yes.
girls were like, I'm not a pink girl. And all of a sudden it was like, I can be a pink girl. I can be a pink
We're
girl.
all pink girls, just deep down.
It's the death
Deep.
to the pick me. That's
the
what
death
yeah.
to the pick me.
me.
What other major movies came out this year?
I mean,
I feel like because of
Oppenheimer was, I mean, at the same time as Barbie. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. We were just thinking
Yeah.
Barbenheimer, right?
No, that's good. That's good. I'm just thinking about to our intro episode where I was like,
What's an
Oppenheim?
Oppenheimer? Yeah.
What's an Oppenheim? Oppenheim?
But we've
Oppenheimer.
learned. We learned about his life through
Yeah.
the movie this year. I'm trying to think of what else. I know the Napoleon one did not do well.
Yeah.
Disney, so talking about big things this year, Disney tried, this was their 100th year anniversary
Disney
for Disney was this
flopped,
year.
yeah.
Wow, how did I not know that?
Because it flopped because they tried to release a movie that
To like
apparently was
commemorate their
terrible.
100th, right?
Yeah, and it was called Wish. Nobody watched it, so I can't even tell you anything about it. So
I've never even heard of that.
exactly,
Well, exactly.
because
And
they
it also
did
looked
terrible
like
with
it was
marketing.
AI generated. I mean, it
Well,
looked
they were trying to
terrible.
combine 2D and 3D animation for it because they were trying to like be a little bit more like alluding to the
Right.
paying homage, I guess, to their like 2D that really started them off. It didn't really look like something I was interested in watching. Oh, and
Yeah.
I think I'm trying to remember. I think Lin-Manuel Miranda did a ton of the score, and people were saying it was just like what was that other one that just came out recently that he in the last
But
few
it's
years?
just like all of his songs sound,
sound
the
the same.
same. So
That's
if you're
what people
gonna
were
make
saying.
every movie be the same type of
Right.
music, it's like nothing's as fun. And then you compare it to like more original Disney movies, like the 2D that we grew up with, and it's like
Right.
every one of those films had its own personality and vibe and songs.
Like the
and it's
score
like,
of Beauty and the Beast is different than the score of like Lion King.
right.
And these are all within like I think those
Right.
were within a 10-year period.
yeah,
But
yeah.
And it would
It's just
make
different.
sense that those would be different.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
you wouldn't think to go in making all the scores
so why
sound
would
so
you
similar.
make something like have the guy who did Moana and like all of that, which actually I think he did do a really good job on that score and he was the right person for that.
Sure.
But
that was a
for
great
this very
movie.
traditional Disney princess or like something that's more like a different kind of magic. I don't know. It just didn't feel like it was weird to put the same
Yeah.
guy in every single movie,
Well,
making every single soundtrack.
I really think people are just fed up with Disney, though. Like,
Yes.
I think they are really voting with their dollar, and I think the company this year is really starting to finally feel that pain.
Yeah.
And it's about time. And actually, Bob Iger, who was the CEO, left for a little while and just came back to try to put it together. Like, he came out and talked about Wish's flop and said, we've been so focused on messaging as opposed to storytelling.
Ooh.
And so
that's
now
exactly.
I think this next year, I think there's going to be a much bigger pivot for Disney about like
Right.
getting back on the track of original storytelling rather than trying to put gross messaging into our kids' content. So
yeah. Yeah.
we'll see what they do with that. But the other film I feel like that really made a big deal was Sound of Freedom this year.
Yes,
That
that
was
was
a
this year.
huge
That was the one
deal.
about the human trafficking and yeah.
Tim Ballard's story, which was phenomenal. And like, I don't know if did you guys see it?
Yeah.
I haven't watched it yet, but like it
You
is
have to.
on my list.
It's
I
very
know
hard to watch.
Yes.
I will get so sucked in. Like I did have this little like my little innocent 11-year-old self was like convinced that like I could go and being in Texas you hear all about the cartel at the time, and I had just like learned about sex trafficking, which is wild. I was so tiny. I feel like 11-year-olds should not know about that sort of stuff. I don't know how I found out, but I
It's
just
really
had this
heavy.
vision of myself like going in and like saving the girls, but like and now to find out that like someone went out there and did that,
Yeah.
like that is huge. Obviously, a
Right.
female probably should not do that just for safety reasons.
Well, but even just like signifying the fact that they made a movie about it. Well, they made a movie about it. It's been made for years,
Right.
and no one
And
would
it made
touch it
so
or
much money
disseminate it.
too.
It made so much money. It crushed at the box office, and I think it was a really great telltale for Hollywood of like, this is the type of content that people actually want to see.
Right.
We're sick of the woke messaging. We're done. We're not going to see it. But then to show that they showed up in droves for Sound of Freedom, I think that was a big wake-up call to the entertainment industry. And now Angel
Yeah.
Studios is producing a ton of new content,
Yeah,
I
it's
think,
really
in the
cool to
next
see.
year. So I think we're finally starting to see a shift in entertainment, and I'm really excited to see what 2024 brings for that.
Yeah, I think that, so I feel like 2020, the year just like, I mean, COVID, right? Silence. A lot of things like could not happen. They were like put on pause. 2021, I think people started to reevaluate and try to figure out like, what do we want to do here? Like in every single industry. And then 2022 is like, okay, we finally have the funding back. We have our legs back underneath us. And so 2023, I feel like they were trying to push stuff out there.
Mhm.
But
Right.
I
It's
went
finally
to,
the year they can release things.
yeah. And so I feel like 2024 will have awesome movies coming out. I think, the woke movement has had its time. It's time. I think society at large is like,
Yeah.
okay, we need to be done with this.
Well,
Like,
now the problem is the SAG-AFTRA strike took so long that I actually feel like in 2024 we will have a gap in entertainment
could
because
be
nothing
true.
got made for so long. I don't know what that looks like. I've never been through like a strike situation before,
More
but
reality TV is what it's going to look like because they're not paid the same.
works for
that's
me.
a good point.
I love reality TV.
Okay, so some kind of random things. King Charles, his coronation happened this year. Anyone
Yeah.
pay attention to that?
I paid attention because it's world history, but I feel like for him, I don't know if anybody here is familiar with the show The Crown, of like he's
Yeah.
the downtrodden, right? In the sense of just like he did it, but no one cares. Like no one cares,
Because
and that's
nobody
kind of
likes
sad.
him because he's a terrible. Like he was, like you can't publicly cheat on your wife and like all this other stuff. It all
Yeah.
comes out and then
I think
Yeah.
the only
If the monarchy
redemptive
falls, it's gonna be on
thing,
him.
though, for Prince Charles is that I think he genuinely does have true love with Camilla, and I think their relationship has stood the test of time. Obviously, their marriage didn't start off in the best way, but it really has stood the test of time, and she has stood by him, and I think that he has put in a lot of time and preparation and takes the responsibility very seriously, and I do think he will be a good king to Britain. But I'm just very excited for the Will and Kate era that we'll get to see in our lifetime.
agreed on the last point. I'll disagree on the king point only because,
Okay.
and this is with like my like, not actually that much knowledge of British cult, like
Right.
their monarchy. I'm just gonna pretend like I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
But what I
as
do
much
know
as we know
is that like and they always emphasize this in the crown, like this idea of the crown is like it's a symbol that's placed upon you, but you are not supposed to like impose yourself into that.
right.
Like it is a symbol that you have to wear and that you are representing all of this. You cannot get invested into the politics of it. You have to be above
and
all
he's
of that.
very
And
political.
the only reason for exactly,
Mhm.
and the only reason for a monarch and a constitutional monarch is to be the symbol that's above that. Because if
Mhm.
not, then what's even the point?
The only good news is that he's very old, and I don't think he will be around for a very, very long time. Not that that's good news, but I'm saying for the sake of the monarchy, if that's what you're trying to preserve,
Right, so
I
he
don't
won't
think
have
he'll
like
be
a
very
legacy
long.
of changing a ton of things because
Yes,
he can't.
but
yeah.
I totally hear you on
But
that.
he's part of that same wave of people with like all of the environmental things which aren't actually doing anything for the earth and are just hurting humanity. And so
Yeah.
for those reasons,
For those reasons, we're out.
Yeah.
I think that so much of me was like, Queen Elizabeth passed. What an icon. She was in my opinion, a good queen. Like she had to
I
put
think
up
that's the opinion of a lot of
100% with
people.
so much trauma. I
Yeah.
mean, world wars.
Mm-hmm.
Huge
She's a
shifts
mechanic in the Second World War too. Like
She was.
She's girl
Yeah,
boss
she was
to
a-
the like
mhm.
ninth
she'd help
degree.
repair cars and stuff during
Yep.
it.
Oh my gosh. Like just amazing. Like her whole story. And then you
Yeah.
have King Charles and you're kind of like, oh, that's right. I
The
don't know why
letdown
I thought it
prince.
was gonna be Will and Kate. Oh, that's right. Ugh, okay, well, guess I'll keep waiting for Will and Kate. Like I kind of forgot about him, but poor guy. So
I know. I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt because again, I do think he is going to do a good job and he's had a lot of time to prepare. But Queen Elizabeth was just like this unshakable like figurehead. Like I just feel I didn't know her behind closed doors, but she is like when I look at her and her life, I feel like you could not rattle that woman. Duty above all. And I didn't really appreciate that much until like she passed away and I kind of read up more on my history in her life and I was like, okay, her legacy is going to be ironclad.
yeah.
For sure.
What about the Balenciaga scandal with the Kardashians? Speaking of reality TV,
Let's talk about it. I've got a lot of words.
I
I'll
feel
let
like
you go
we need
first.
to unpack what the Balenciaga like scandal was to begin with.
Okay.
So, do you want to try giving it a
Resident-
shot first?
I don't know a lot about policy, but let me tell you something about pop culture. So
our pop culture princess
I'm just
over
kidding.
here.
So essentially what happened to the Balenciaga scandal was that there was a campaign that was released by Balenciaga that featured children in the photos. And with these children were posed like teddy bears that were in BDSM bondage gear, which I don't want to get into too much about everything that signifies. But it's highly, highly inappropriate and has absolutely no business being like symbolized in photos with children.
Right.
So the internet does a lot of bad, but the internet did a lot of good here in the sense of we dug up so much about Balenciaga and different campaigns and people that worked for the brand, and we just uncovered a lot. Balenciaga tried to ride out this wave in terms of like covering their scandal and saying, oh, we have an internal investigation and we're sorry, yada, yada, and laid low for a while. And the really big problem here was that the Kardashians, Kim Kardashian in general, wears Balenciaga a ton. Which their clothes are ugly, so let's just start there too. I don't know why, but she had a very, very great deal done with Balenciaga in terms of how much she wore their clothing. So she took days to respond to these allegations of inappropriateness with children and whatnot. And by the time she made a statement, it was too late. Like she just could not recover the damage that did to her brand. So she laid low, said she was revoking her partnership with them. And then a few months later, she's posting in Balenciaga again. She's tagging the brand. She's going to shows. And the problem is that Hollywood has moved on, the fashion industry has moved on, but the general public has not. Actually, if you go into Kim Kardashian's photos and you look through her comments, people are dragging her for this, but she doesn't care. So again, I love watching the Kardashians. I keep up with the Kardashians, if you will, but I lost, so much respect and care level for them when I saw that she doesn't care.
Yeah.
It's really truly like anything for a paycheck is what it appears to be.
And she's a mom. And North was even in Balenciaga outfits as well. So it's
And
it's
Kanye's
ridiculous.
still dressing in
Oh, yep.
Balenciaga, but I think there's a whole thing behind what's going on with Kanye anyway. So all that to say, the Balenciaga scandal was horrific and terrible, but it was really nice to see the general public really pull together and take it seriously.
Yeah, so I follow like a lot of fashion accounts and they're very left-leaning. One in particular, Diet Prada, is
I had to unfollow Diet Prada.
It's very frustrating. Dare I use the word triggering to see what they say to it's like they just want to pick a fight. They want to pick a fight on everything. Like they never have anything nice to say about anyone. Even like something that's like the most environmentally friendly. They will be like, yeah, but that tree wasn't recycled that you used on that paper, that one invitation. Like they will find something to complain about and it is exhausting. But every now and then I learn about a new fashion trend. So part of me is also just curious. But they, for the first time, I think on that account, stood like, I was like, oh my gosh, I align with you on something. This is shocking. Like they ripped Balenciaga a new one.
Good.
And it was so refreshing to be like, well, you complain about everything. I'm just glad you're also complaining about this.
It felt like the first time people on the left and the right could see a very clear problem and be like, no, like we might disagree on a lot, but we all know that this is wrong and inappropriate. And it was like actually very refreshing to get to like be on the same side for once, you know?
That's a good point. I think that our general like society this year finally came to a like a tension point where we're like, we want to be on the same side. Like I think we're all kind of done arguing and fighting and like
It's
butting
exhausting.
heads. I would rather just find things we can agree on for a little bit and like try to get real change done. Not watered down, not watered down. I'm saying find things that we agree with.
No, I was going to say I agree that that's something that people want. I don't think it's something that people are going to get.
Yeah.
We have an
Agreed.
election year next year.
I know.
So that's
It's only going to get worse for
Yeah.
another year.
Although the left is pulling so hard left that they're making a lot of like normal Democrats look a lot more moderate and the moderates look a lot more conservative. Like if they ever want to complain about like, oh, why is everyone turning Republican? Like, I don't think they are. I think they're just dragging the spectrum so far that these people are starting to look and shift and feel more like.
I think you're right.
And oh my gosh, I don't want to get in trouble for another transition, like my horrible transitions.
Yeah,
But
we're
we do
working
know
on it.
that, you know, the Israel Gaza conflict is like that happened this
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Are you guys following that at all?
kind of. Like, I don't think I'd ever be able to say that I'm an expert on it, but I think that the thing that's most concerning to me is, at least from like what's happening in America, is seeing like people who are Jewish students being just terrorized by their by other students
peers.
on campus.
Yeah.
Like people from I don't understand that, and why I don't understand how it's been allowed by administration or school administrators so long for that sort of behavior to go on. But recently, I think Harvard lost about $1 billion in donations just in the last few days. The president of University of Pennsylvania, where my sister is right now, actually, he just I think he resigned, but he may have gotten
It's really
smarted out.
bad, especially at Ivy Leagues. Like they're having serious problems.
Like, did you see that video where they were like all these students, like they all had, I forgot what sort of things they had in front of them, but they were like surrounding this Jewish student, so they weren't laying hands on him, but they were like keeping him from going anywhere.
It was like the purest form of anti-Semitism, which is so crazy because you have the left who's so focused on the underserved, the underprivileged, like making sure we lift those people up. And then they look at the Jews who historically have been constantly like shoved down into the
long.
Yeah, like shoved down into, and like if you're a Christian, you see it like throughout like the biblical history too. But like, hello, Holocaust. Like, how are they not treated as what's the word I'm looking for? Like a minority. Like the left likes to deem minorities.
Right. Well, I mean, if you guys watched the hearing of those university presidents, I think it was 2 weeks ago or something like that, the blatantly not wanting to call out like anti-Semitism for what it is. In fact, like not even condemning, like if someone says they support the genocide of Jews on their campus, that's not considered bullying and harassment. And like they got asked multiple times. They were given multiple chances to clarify their answers and they wouldn't. That is like, what did they think was going to come from that? Did they think that funding was going to still keep coming through to their university? They must have still thought that, but I love to hear that A, it's not, and B, some of these presidents are finally either, if not being removed forcibly, resigning. Right?
Yeah,
It was
but then the question,
horrendous.
Yeah, that's true. I totally agree. But then there's the question of free speech. What constitutes as free speech? How much are you allowed to say?
Well, you're not, like, we already know you can't incite violence.
Right.
And the types of behaviors that are happening are very clearly incitements of violence.
Well, if you're calling for the genocide of a group, I'm not the expert, that sounds like the incitement of violence to me. But the other difference is that if you said that about any other group,
exactly,
it'd be done. You would be
any
done.
other
Your
minority
life would be
group.
over.
There's no way.
So it's like, okay, if this is the standard, then it applies to everybody. We're not going to pick and choose what groups we're allowed to incite violence for.
Yeah.
And that was really, really shocking for me to hear. I think what we can all agree on is like, even though there's a lot that we probably miss or don't understand about the conflict and the tension between countries and between religions and whatnot, I think all we can do is agree that like war is a very, very sad thing and that it breaks the heart of God. And to see any innocent civilian be hurt or deal with the pressures and the tortures of war is a horrible, horrible thing. And so it's just been very, very sad to watch, but also watch America get ripped apart by it too, and taking such a strong side. it's just very messy, and it's very, very
Right.
sad to watch, and so
And
much
even if you disagree with like
misinformation.
the way that someone's like playing out with a war, it doesn't give you an excuse to harass another person.
Absolutely not. This is America, and we still live by a certain code, and we still treat each other with respect.
Right.
And you are allowed to have your freedom to protest and your freedom to speak. However, like, there has to be a line for all of us in the way in which we conduct ourselves with each other. So
I think the craziest thing to me is just like the hypocrisy in it. Like the people that are traumatizing these Jewish students are the ones who advocate for not traumatizing other students. You know, they're like, do not, like, you, like, standing up to the man. And then all of a sudden, here they are harassing
harassing,
someone for their
torturing. Yeah.
ethnicity and their religion.
Yeah.
Wild. Okay. Well,
Moving on.
can you guys talk about SB4? Here, let's go to Texas specifically.
Are we talking about education? Unless I am wrong about which Senate bill, because there have been a lot of special sessions.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think
Which
SB4
session?
now is border. There
Yeah.
was an SB4 that was the banning of transgender
Oh, that one.
surgeries
Sorry.
on children.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What a win.
Yes.
What a win.
I think it's just crazy how long it's taken us to get here, because we've known about stuff happening in Texas where like with like child transition and like just, well, let's call it what it is, like child mutilation surgeries happening in Texas for years now.
Yep.
And it's taken this long for politicians to finally be like, oh, we should change that. But I think it is something like the one good thing about like radical leftists taking everything to like pulling it all out in the open.
Like the
Now it's
extreme.
out in the open, so
Mhm.
it's much easier for politicians to look at it and be like, oh, that I can't ignore this. This is like in front of my face, and something needs to be done about it. So you can't pretend it's not happening. You can't look the other way anymore. So
Yeah.
thank
Yeah.
God we live in a state like Texas where that
Yeah.
was.
100%.
And I want to shout out, like, seriously, the leaders, like, whether that was those who are in this building or in the Capitol building, who made that happen, because it was not an easy fight, and they showed up every single day, like, ready to fight for this bill to protect Texas
And the grassroots
children.
effort behind it of like being willing to go out and be like, no, not in our state.
100%. Yeah. I think it was a great victory, and very, very thankful for all of the men and women who band together to make that a success.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. What I find crazy is, as someone who doesn't want, like, I always say you can't legislate morality, right?
Mhm.
And we say that a lot here. And it's always a question of like, I always ask, do we need to make a law for this? Do we need to have the government involved in legislating these decisions? And then you get something like this, and it's just wild to me. It's like, wow, we have to create legislation for this not to happen to children.
Yeah.
Like, it is so crazy to me that our society has gotten to this point
Yeah.
where we now have to have a law about this.
Well, it's like there's enough studies and science to back up that, like, doing this to a growing body is not right.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not. If and when they get to 18 and that's an adult choice and their body is formed, then, like, there ain't nothing we can do about that, and live your happiest life. However, there is enough evidence to back up that that is unequivocally wrong.
Yeah.
And the fact that we did not back down as a state is very, very encouraging.
Yeah, so that's a win for Texas. School choice.
We're getting there.
So it didn't happen this calendar year, but I think what we did see this calendar year that we had never seen before is the amount of support we had for school choice and this momentum. So outside of Texas, multiple states over this year have like decided that this is the year for school choice, and they've been moving that direction.
Yep.
So we didn't get it this year in Texas yet, but we've seen a cultural shift.
Mhm.
Yes.
That
shows
is very important.
We're ready to, like, parents are ready to take control over their kids' lives and protect them.
Yeah.
And the team here at TPPF, like, I keep trying to shout out the team, because it's like the people in this building do so much to make all of this happen and to get it as far as they need to. And, like, Mandy Drogan and her team,
Yeah.
parent empowerment and school choice is going to happen, but the mobilization that we've seen this year is so encouraging.
Yeah, and if you guys want to learn more about school choice, we actually interviewed Mandy on the podcast. For you guys listening, if you haven't heard it, definitely go back. She is a self-proclaimed mama bear and has so much insight into all of the nuances that are school choice, for sure. Okay, let's like really quickly hit the border. Any major stuff happen here in Texas on the border?
Besides the fact that it's still not closed.
Well, there've been tons of crossings this year. There's still the fight over like the buoy barriers and
Yeah.
like Texas's right to be able to defend its border. But again, there is this like shift and this mentality shift in Texas where both like from the governor and other legislators where we're
Mhm.
saying like actually the federal government isn't coming to save us. We can't depend on them to do this, and Texas
Mhm.
needs to stand up for its own border and it
Yeah.
put together. And like right now we're working on. I'm trying to remember. Did SB4 pass for additional border security measures?
I know that, so last week when we were here, there was actually a protest going on through the streets. I don't know if you guys were here for that, about SB4 for the border. So I'm not sure where it stands right now, but I do know that, like, as Texas has tried to step up, the federal government has done everything they can to intervene to
So
stop
we're still in the
us.
middle of lawsuits. That's going to continue into
Yeah.
2024. But stuff is happening. We're putting up gates and potentially like even some more intense, I guess, blockers, like different
Yeah.
walls.
So what I
Buoy's
think is
still
cool
there,
in
I
the
think.
2024 election that this has become like a discussion. It is like being brought to the debate stage, which is really cool. And you really didn't see that happen until Trump got on there and in 2016 and he started talking about the border and making it an issue.
Yeah.
And then yes, it got very controversial very fast, but it is still a major topic,
Yeah.
and it's really exciting to see that is on the debate stage for both.
Well, I think
parties.
part of that is that, like, for in Texas, in the border states, we've been feeling it for a while, right? But now the northern states are really starting to feel it. New York is completely overrun, and the mayor is at his wit's end, and the governor is not helping with that whatsoever. And I think now that the streets of New York are being overrun, there is no space. So we're feeling the influx of people, but then also the influx of crime. Like, if we're just going to be honest, I think now that other states are feeling it, we're starting to take it more seriously as a nation. Whereas when Texas was just feeling it, nobody but Texans cared. But now it doesn't affect just Texas because everybody might come here, but no, not everybody stays here.
Yeah, and
All moves
fentanyl
northern.
usage is like skyrocketing. Like we have
Right.
a fentanyl crisis
We
for
have
sure.
a epidemic on our hands with fentanyl. I mean, and it doesn't matter. Like, it's not just fentanyl. It's, you know, these kids in high school are exposed to so much, and now fentanyls and so much of these other things. But then you've got shows like
Anyways.
Euphoria, where this girl is using fentanyl recreationally and somehow survives. And so kids are seeing this and watching this and thinking fentanyl's no big deal.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Really crazy what they put in shows these days. Okay, so to wrap up very quickly, what are some of your personal New Year's resolutions for this year? And what are some predictions you might have about this year?
Ooh, I always do a reading goal. So like this year, my goal was 25 books, and I am on my 28th. So I feel like I crushed this goal.
Amazing.
So maybe next year I'll either keep it to 25 or maybe I'll bump it to 30 and really make it like a goal.
That's a lot of books to read every month.
I've been so I really need to get off my phone. So it's been really helpful for me.
That's awesome.
I think there's always like health goals that everybody likes to hit. I think there's always financial goals to hit. You know, for me and my family, I think like probably just making a greater effort to be more involved in our local community and church, and then also just spending more time like at home and rather than being all over the place. I think that's like my focus. I think is going to just be like at home this
Mhm.
coming year. So yeah,
That's really nice.
yeah.
So my goals for this year, I guess a big thing that comes to mind that's like the big life event is I'm getting married in May of this coming year. So to be the best wife that I can be. And then in terms of like spiritual goal stuff, there's a podcast, and it's hit the #1 podcast
Yeah,
multiple times.
I know what
The
you're
Bible in a Year podcast with Father Mike Schmitz.
Yes.
And have I stretched out a Bible in a year to a Bible in 1.5 years, and now maybe going on to my second one? Maybe. But it's so good. It's not like it doesn't tell you, oh, we're on June, whatever. It's just day whatever it is, and you can keep going.
Jumping at any
Yeah.
point.
Yes. So I
That's
am
great.
going to keep pushing through it until I finish that and then restart it again as soon as I do, because it's amazing.
You know what? Now that you
Mhm.
said that, I'm like, my goal this year, like in the last half of this year, has been like at least one book of the Bible per month because I feel like that's very
That's
tangible.
awesome.
So
Yeah.
maybe I'll do what you're doing and maybe we can hold each other accountable.
It's so
Love
good.
it.
And having
Accountability is
someone
very
put the
important.
context behind it, amazing.
So good.
So definitely like big goal stuff. And then if we're talking about predictions for what's happening, at the beginning of the show, I was talking about how I really feel like this is the era of the girl. We've had our chance to be like, actually, what society told us that we have to be basically like men in order to like to operate in society, and we have to like put all that aside. This gave us a chance to like reclaim some of the almost like the fun of what it is to be a woman, or like in terms
Embracing
of being a girl.
femininity.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was the era of the girl. And so when I say it's the era of the woman, we see now Taylor Swift is in a what seems like a healthy relationship with a guy who's like, you know, a masculine
I
man.
love Travis
and I feel
Kelce.
like,
I'm
yes.
so excited for
And
her.
I think like seeing like that sort of bridge come together, my prediction for this year is we're going to see like an increase of family values because of the people who are even like the quote unquote idols in our society are moving in that direction. I think that the rest of these people have now embraced like the era of the girl are going to be moving into the era of the woman.
I
like
love that.
especially how you brought up like a value system.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I hope you're right, because that means we're headed
We'll find
in the
out
right
at their
direction.
recap next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, truly. I think some of my resolutions, I just got married. So it's, of course, learning how to be a good wife, which is not as easy as it sounds. You have to learn all the nuances with your spouse and your strengths and weaknesses and how to balance that out. So I hope we grow a lot this next year as the two become one. It's very important to me to get back into journaling. I think it really helps me to process. So I'm going to try to make some space for that because I like to keep a very full schedule. I really want to run a marathon.
That'd be awesome.
I really want to run a marathon.
I
Like
love
every
that
year
for
I'm like, I'm
you.
going to do it. And this year I'm like, I just have to do
It's
it.
all on the internet. You have to now.
Yeah, I know. That's honestly why I was like, okay, I've got to say this like on the record because I will be humiliated if I don't run my marathon. And I said I was going to run it.
I also have another New Year's resolution for us, for this channel. It's a big, well, it seems like a big number right now. I think last time I checked, we had 56 subscribers.
Ooh.
Okay.
I think we need to hit the 300 mark by the end of next year. And I think that you guys can do it. My challenge to everyone here, let's try to bump it up to 100 by, let's say, the first quarter of the year. No, let's do it sooner.
Yeah.
End of February, we're going to have 100
Amazing.
subscribers.
Yes.
Be a part of that. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button because that helps us too. If you want to comment something fun like your New Year's resolution, all of that sort of stuff is the thing that really helps with the show. And if there's an important issue that we've already showed before, that we do show in the future, share that because that's how small channels grow.
100%.
Join the community. It's a fun place to be.
Yeah, we got on Apple Podcasts a little bit ago. So if you're not liking and subscribing there, please do. It was a labor of love to try to get us on there. For whatever reason, Apple was just not having it for a while. So yeah, and definitely engage with us more on social for sure. That's a great idea. We'd love that.
All right.
Amazing.
That's my year goals for the
I love it. That was a great way. Okay, I'm just gonna throw it out there. I also want to learn French. I decided that's the language. I've always wanted to learn a language. I switched like every single year, 3 different times. I want to learn French.
I'd like to pick up Italian. I feel like I was trying before I went to Italy this year, and then I kind of let it go once I got back. But I was like, no, I could do that.
You can do it.
I barely passed Spanish, mind you, but like Italian, I could do that. We'll
Absolutely. Well, bonjour.
Buongiorno.
Oh yeah, I was like, no, that's French. I was like, oh wait, that is Italian. That is Italian. Do you want to learn a language?
You know, I have tried for the majority of my life to learn Spanish, and it hasn't hit yet. So I've become a pessimist on that one. Ideally, yes. Realistically, we'll
Bigger
see.
fish to fry.
No.
All right, y'all. Well, we hope you had a very, very good 2023, and we pray that you have a sensational, amazing 2024. Keep up with us. This year is going to be so fun and full of great stuff. So, see y'all later.
Cheers.
Bye, guys.
Happy New Year.